What up, Cucks? It's your boy, the Hater, and it's time for Friday Night Smackdown review. You know what that means? That means we're gonna do it segment by segment, alright? Today's show was filler nonsense, so without any further ado, let's just get to it, right? Because there's quite a bit to talk about, but all of it was terrible. So the show starts out with Nick Aldis and Randy Orton. Basically, Randy Orton says they're even now because last time he was suspended, he paid double the fine, anticipating that he would beat up somebody else. And that somebody else is Nick Aldis, who is barely even upset at the fact that he got his ass beat. I don't like that. It's very odd. Orton then tries to bully him and says, oh, like, you're married to Mickey James, basically, right? And as this is going absolutely nowhere, we hear the following. We taking it all. We taking it all. And then Tama Tonga and Solo Sikoa come out, right? They start saying some nonsense. Well, Solo Sikoa starts saying some nonsense. Randy Orton just buries them both verbally. He basically says, look at you, Mr. Yeah, Tama. And then Solo Sikoa, he's like, you both suck. I'll beat both of your asses, right? So they both attack him. Orton is whooping that ass thoroughly, but they get the upper hand on him. However, he is saved by L.A. Knight. Yeah. L.A. Knight just beats them up and says, look, I'm going to beat you up. I'm going to beat up Jacob Fatu at Mania. Because earlier, Solo Sikoa said, like, Jacob Fatu is going to beat L.A. Knight. So L.A. Knight's like, keep your name out of my mouth. And that leads to a tag team match. Yeah. L.A. Knight is massively over. I don't know why he's forced to deal with all these morons and these jobbers, but it is what it is. Then, after all this, it's time for the women's tag team gauntlet match. So you know this motherfucker took a long time. The first team out is Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, who despite having animosity towards each other, are now a tag team for absolutely no reason. The first team they're wrestling against is the Pure Jobber Collective. Since Sonya Deville, their leader, got fired, now they're just a tag team of jobbers, They haven't won a match in about 3 years. Nobody cares about either one, so they're obviously going to get eliminated, you know what I mean? It doesn't really matter. All the other teams here and all the other people here in this match are absolute jobbers, except for Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, who have some sort of recognition. Bayley being a multiple-time world champion, and Lyra Valkyria being the current Intercontinental Champion. So obviously at one point, the match just hits the fan, and we start getting all of the spots that we were expecting to get. But as usual, this match in its entirety is extremely botchy, right? At one point, Baszler tags in Zoe, who is like up in like the moonsault position on the top rope. She then does like a move. It was supposed to be like kind of like, the move that Christian used to do, where he just like jumps backwards and does like a sunset flip, basically. Except either she was going to do a sunset flip or a neck breaker. We'll never know because she botched the move completely. In addition, she was tagged in, but then Shayna makes the cover because these people have no idea what they're doing. You know what I mean? The fact that Shayna Baszler has gotten a paycheck for years now is inexcusable. Remember when she would come out with Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke, who basically just stole money from this company, and now Marina Shafir is stealing money from AEW? I don't understand it, and quite frankly, I could give a fuck. Anyways, Lyra pins Baszler with a jackknife pin. Lame as hell. Next up, it's Natalya and Maxine Dupree. So you know they're going to get eliminated quick. It's exactly what happens. Maxine goes for the sharpshooter, I think, on Lyra. Or Bayley. I think it was Bayley, actually. And she gets rolled up while doing the sharpshooter. Natty is, like, upset. I don't blame her. She hasn't won a match in about 5 years. And this is no different, right? After this, we have Kaden Carter, whose name I completely forgot, and Katana Chance. And they do their little offense. But ultimately, Katana Chance gets pinned after a Nightwing by Lyra Valkyria. You see where this is going. Next, we have another jobber thrown together team of Michin and B-Fab. Bayley roseplants B-Fab, who has ropes for hair. I don't understand what this new trend is of women getting extensions. I mean, it's not that new, I guess. But, like, you're basically putting ropes on your head, broads. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. After this, we have Piper and Alba Fire. Now, Piper and Alba Fire are also an impromptu tag team, but at least they have a gimmick because they're the entourage, the what's it called? The Hervis of Chelsea Green. But they wrestle like shit. Piper botches a lot of things. I feel like she really can't get around too well in the suit they're making her wrestle in. It's kind of dumb. But despite the fact this is the first time Lyra and Bayley have teamed together, they just win after Lyra does a top rope axe kick after a roast planned by Bailey. The top rope axe kick has a name that only Wade Barrett knows. Nobody else could possibly give a flying fuck after this. Then we have one of the worst segments of all time. Drew McIntyre, who is now a pirate, attacks Damian Priest from behind. Drew then cuts a promo as Damian Priest is being escorted out. And basically he says, I'm 100% and takes off his eye patch. Wow, unbelievable. Drew McIntyre's eye is no longer injured. How compelling. Who the fuck cares? Damian Priest comes back and gets his ass kicked again. Drew then takes Damian Priest and does the future shock on his ass onto the steel steps. Then he takes Damian's beloved necklace, right? The word beloved was added by Tessitore just to signify that somehow, apparently Damian Priest cares a lot about his necklace. This has never been established before. I'm sure next week he'll come out and be like, my abuela gave it to me or some bullshit like that. I won it in the Puerto Rico strongman contest. Like, it's just a necklace. Nobody could give a shit. Wade Barrett says nobody cares about the necklace. That's the least of his worries. And just like that, Drew McIntyre once again finds himself in an accessory-themed feud. First, he stole CM Punk's bracelet. Now he has an eye patch and is stealing a necklace. Drew McIntyre, at this point, is just hanging around for no reason. You might as well just fire this guy. You got all you can out of him. This has Lashley written all over it. Anyways, after this, we get a Rey Phoenix segment, and we get a Rey Phoenix match. It's him versus Berto in a relatively decent match. Both these guys can go. I don't like how they call Berto, right? I understand that his name was shortened from Umberto to Berto, but it wasn't Umberto. Everyone would say Umberto, and now they just say Berto. Like, are you retarded? Just take away the HU, which just makes a U sound, and just say Berto. Anyways, Berto does a lot of cool moves, but Berto has not won a match in his career. So obviously, Rey Phoenix does the goodbye amigo kick, or whatever the fuck it's called. It's just a kick, like where he runs on the ropes. Then he does another kick. Then he does the Mexican muscle buster and pins him. After the match, Santos Escobar, who I don't even know why this guy's around, he comes out and he forces Berto to shake Rey Phoenix's hand. Right? Berto does so reluctantly and leaves. Afterwards, Santos extends his hand to Rey Phoenix. Rey Phoenix shakes it like in this confused manner, like, what the fuck am I doing here? He's probably thinking, right? Why am I shaking hands with a guy that has not won a match in 7 years, Anyways, this is just a bunch of jobber affairs. Rey Phoenix deserves better and he will get better. But nevertheless, that's how it went down. What do you want me to say, motherfucks? After this, we have a segment between Roxanne Perez and Tiffany Stratton. It's a boring segment that sets up a match later tonight. Then we have Zelina Vega versus Chelsea Green. Zelina wins via countout after Chelsea Green is just there kind of confused. She kind of loses track of time, basically, gets distracted by the announce people, not on purpose, and she gets counted out. I don't know what the point of this is. So Zelina can get a title match? Who cares, Afterwards, we have a backstage segment, right? It's Berto. Berto's out there and he's berated slightly by Santos Escobar, and then he's approached by Andrade, right? This is not interesting because this is going to go absolutely nowhere. It doesn't matter if Berto is under the wing of Andrade or Santos Escobar. They both suck ass and they both never win a match. So Berto's only choice, in my opinion, is that he should just be like, I don't want anything to do with any of you motherfuckers. I'm just going to go out on my own and go be a jobber on my own because I'm not getting anything out of being part of Legado del Fantasma, one of the worst groups of all time. This was just not good. Also, too much time spent on Berto. This is not going to go anywhere, you know what I mean? But whatever, right? Better for him to do something than do nothing, I suppose. After this, we have 10 minutes of nothing, including the Cody Rhodes entrance. Cody Rhodes comes out, and there's a bunch of WWE titles in the ring already. He cuts a long, drawn-out promo, which can best be summarized by, Cena, you're not going to win, I'm going to win. This is one of the worst builds of all time. Cena can't be bothered to show up there. And at this point, motherfucks, it would have been better, honestly, if Cena just didn't show up at all from the chamber, and he just showed up at Mania, right? At least that would build suspense. They didn't do anything to advance the storyline at all. We're literally in the same position we were in after the Elimination Chamber. Cena hasn't established anything interesting or new, and nobody could possibly give a flying fuck about what's going to certainly be one of the worst main events of all time, and certainly the worst main event in WrestleMania history, motherfucks. After this, we have a backstage segment. It's the Street Profits. Earlier, we had a backstage segment with some other tag teams, like DIY was involved. Like, nobody cares about that. But this one was a bit more interesting. Street Profits are the champions, and Miz and Melo come out, and they bury them completely verbally. Basically, Miz says, you're the tag team champions, but you're so irrelevant that you don't even have a spot at WrestleMania. It's basically like you're just two jobbers, right? And Melo, Don Miz are, what do they say? They're all him, I think, right? Because they're trying to combine it. It's cringe, but that's what it's supposed to be. Like, Melo, Don Miz is a silly tag team. This is a good way to include both Melo and Miz in WrestleMania and include the Street Profits there. Melo and Miz should win just because Melo and Miz are just better in every way. But the Street Profits, we could do worse than them. You know what I mean? The tag team champions could be DIY again. So, like, anything's better than DIY. So there you have it, cucks. After this, we have Tiffany Stratton versus Roxanne Perez in a match that went a little too long. But as expected, Tiffany Stratton is obviously going to win this match. She wins with the PME. And afterwards, gets attacked mildly by Charlotte. Charlotte throws her over the announce desk. And then Wade Barrett just stops Charlotte. There's nothing she can do about it. Wade Barrett is a very large individual. So she can't physically get around him. He doesn't let her. And he stops her and he's like, I'm trying to save your career. You know, whatever, right? And who cares? Just filler garbage. This was just to remind us that this is the match that's happening. Like, the match is not compelling. It's unclear why they even hate each other. You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden they just dislike each other. But why? You know, that's never really been explained at all. But whatever. That's what you get. Then we have LA Knight and what's his face? Fuck, it's escaping me for a second. Okay, so it's Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga versus LA Knight and Randy Orton. That's it, motherfuckers. So then the match is set, which is weird because I just finished watching this match. But anyways, a bunch of bullshit goes down. Eventually, Orton and Solo Sikoa, who likely are going to have a WrestleMania match now, like a throwaway match, they just brawl their way out of the match, right? Thus leaving LA Knight and Tama Tonga in the match. The entire match, the only question that needs answering is when is Jacob Fatu going to attack LA Knight? Because that's exactly what the point of this is. Obviously, Solo Sikoa is a jobber and Tama Tonga is one of the worst wrestlers in the roster, so they're not going to win. Once LA Knight and Tama Tonga are the only men left in the ring, you know for a fact Tama Tonga is not going to pin the megastar. And that's exactly what happens. They both get up slowly, they touch each other's backs, they go back to back basically. Tama Tonga turns around, he gets BFT, then he gets 3 the hard way. Then, of course, right on cue, Jacob Fat Poo attacks LA Knight, beats his ass, does the PME, which is the same move that Tiffany Stratton just did in the last match. At least don't have them go back to back with each other, man. It's like they have the same fucking move. He has a girl's finishing move. Imagine if, like, Kane started doing the Stratisfaction, you know what I mean? But whatever, anyways, it is what it is. Jacob Fatu wants to be the United States champion. I don't care about this match. I don't care if Jacob Fatu wins or loses. It doesn't make any difference. The U.S. title is so irrelevant that nobody could possibly be excited about it. And with that being said, that's pretty much the show, motherfucks. You know, normally my Smackdown reviews go much longer, but how can this one go longer? It was so straightforward and boring that nobody could have possibly been entertained by it. You know, I feel like I wasted my time, but I do it for the people, motherfucks. Hater has spoken, cuckolds.